The night started like any other. I arrived home, exhausted from another long day at work, craving nothing more than a warm meal and the familiar embrace of my wife, Emily. The woman I had loved for 8 years. The woman who had promised me forever. Stepping inside, I immediately noticed something was off. The house was too quiet. No sound of the television humming in the background, no soft music playing from her phone, no faint aroma of dinner cooking. I frowned. Emily. No answer. A strange unease settled in my chest as I set my briefcase down. My eyes drifted toward the dining table, empty. Not even a single plate or glass out of place. She always left something, even if it was just a half-empty wine glass or a folded napkin. Then I saw it. Her phone, sitting on the counter. Emily never left her phone unattended. Never. A cold prickle crawled up my spine. Something wasn't right. I took slow, measured steps down the hallway, my ears straining for any sign of her. The bedroom door was slightly ajar, a sliver of warm light spilling into the dark corridor. My heartbeat quickened as I heard faint noises, soft, muffled sounds that sent a sickening chill through my veins. Voices. A hushed moan. A deep murmur that wasn't mine. For a moment I couldn't move. My body refused to accept what my mind was screaming at me. No. It wasn't possible. Emily loved me. We had built a life together. We had dreams, plans, a future. And yet, as I pushed the door open, I came face to face with a nightmare. There she was. My wife. My Emily. Tangled in the sheets with another man, her body pressed against his, her lips parted in pleasure, her nails digging into his back. The world tilted. Everything slowed. A ringing filled my ears, drowning out every sound except the furious pounding of my heart. Emily's eyes fluttered open, and the instant they met mine, horror replaced her pleasure. Ian, she gasped, scrambling to sit up, dragging the sheets around her as if that could erase what I had just witnessed. The man beside her, dark-haired, muscular, and utterly unfamiliar, jerked upright. His expression shifted from confusion to panic the moment he realized who I was. Silence. Thick, suffocating silence. Emily clutched the sheets tighter, her chest rising and falling rapidly. It's not what it looks like. I let out a laugh. A sharp, humorless sound that even I didn't recognize. Not what it looks like. I took a slow step forward, my fists clenched so tightly my nails bit into my palms. So, what? He just happened to trip and fall into our bed? You accidentally lost your clothes? Tell me, Emily, how exactly do you plan to explain this? Tears welled in her eyes. Ian, please, let me explain. The man beside her swallowed hard, looking like he wanted to disappear. Smart choice. I turned my gaze to him, my voice cold. Who the hell are you? He opened his mouth, then shut it, glancing at Emily as if waiting for permission to speak. That only fueled my rage. Answer me. He cleared his throat, shifting uncomfortably. My name's Derek. Derek. I rolled the name on my tongue, tasting the bitterness of betrayal. Get out. My voice was low, lethal. Derek hesitated. Emily grabbed his arm. Just go. He didn't need to be told twice. He scrambled out of the bed, grabbing his clothes off the floor, avoiding my gaze as if that would somehow lessen the damage he had caused. Within seconds, he was gone, leaving just the two of us in the wreckage of our marriage. Emily wiped at her tears. Ian, I held up a hand. Don't. Just don't. She bit her lip, her whole body trembling. Please, just listen. It was a mistake. A mistake. I repeated, voice hollow. A mistake is forgetting to buy milk. This, I gestured to the bed, the tangled sheets, the undeniable proof of her betrayal. This is a choice. She broke down, sobs racking her body. I love you, Ian. A sharp, bitter laugh escaped me. You love me? Funny way of showing it. I do, she insisted, her voice cracking. It meant nothing. He meant nothing. I stared at her, at the woman I had trusted with my entire heart. My mind raced, replaying every moment we had shared, every promise she had ever made. How many times had she looked into my eyes and told me I was her everything? How many times had she kissed me, whispered words of love, made me believe we were unbreakable? And how many of those times had been a lie? I took a deep breath, forcing the fury bubbling inside me to settle. How long? Her lips parted. What? I clenched my jaw. How long, Emily? How long have you been screwing him? She hesitated. A moment too long. Something in me shattered. I exhaled slowly, nodding. So, it wasn't just a one-time thing. Tears streamed down her face. It wasn't like that, Ian. I was confused. I got caught up in something I didn't mean to. You didn't mean to? My voice dropped to a whisper, filled with something colder than anger. You didn't mean to take off your wedding ring? You didn't mean to let him touch you? She sobbed harder, burying her face in her hands. I hate myself for this. Good. My words were ice. Because I sure as hell hate you for it too. Her head snapped up, fresh pain flashing in her eyes. Please don't say that. I turned away, raking a hand through my hair. Every muscle in my body screamed for release, for something, anything, to make sense of the storm inside me. But nothing made sense. The life I had known, the love I had cherished, was gone. Emily took a shaky step forward. I'll do anything, Ian. Just don't give up on us. I turned back, meeting her desperate gaze. For the first time that night, I wasn't sure if I wanted to walk away, or destroy her the same way she had destroyed me. I stood there, trapped in the wreckage of a love I once believed was unbreakable. Emily, my wife, the woman I had trusted with my heart, stood in front of me, pleading, crying, begging. Please, Ian, she whispered, her voice cracking with desperation. Don't let this be the end. The old me, the man who had spent 8 years devoted to her, wanted to break down, to give in, to let those words mean something. But the new me, the one who had just watched his wife come undone under another man, only felt rage boiling beneath his skin. I could walk away, pack a bag, leave her sobbing in the ruins of what she destroyed, and never look back. But something inside me refused to let her escape this so easily. You say you love me? My voice was cold, emotionless. Her eyes, red-rimmed and swollen, locked onto mine. More than anything. I let the silence stretch between us before I took a slow step forward. Then prove it. She blinked, confusion flickering across her tear-streaked face. What? I leaned in just enough for her to feel the weight of my words. If you truly regret this, if you really love me, then you'll give me whatever I ask. Her breath hitched. I'll do anything, Ian. Just, please don't leave me. I studied her, taking in the trembling lips, the heaving breaths, the remorse dripping from every inch of her. And then, I made my decision. Fine. My voice was controlled, yet laced with something darker. Then listen carefully. She nodded frantically. I don't forgive you. My words were brutal, slicing through whatever fragile hope she had left. And I don't trust you. Her body sagged, but I wasn't finished. You want to prove you love me? You want to fix this? I stepped even closer, close enough for her to feel the anger radiating off me. Then you'll do exactly as I say when I say it. Emily swallowed, uncertainty flashing in her eyes. What do you mean? I tilted my head. You don't get to ask questions, not after what you did. She flinched. A part of me should have felt guilty for making her suffer, for twisting the knife into an already bleeding wound. But another part of me, one I never knew existed, wanted to see her squirm, to make her feel even a fraction of the pain she had caused me. Emily exhaled shakily. Okay. I'll do whatever you want. I smiled, but there was nothing kind about it. Good. I turned away, grabbed my jacket, and walked toward the door. She panicked. Wait. Where are you going? I glanced over my shoulder, my smirk cruel. Out. Her lips parted in shock. Ian, please. I didn't stay to hear the rest. I slammed the door behind me, stepping into the cold night air, letting the betrayal settle into my bones. But I wasn't leaving for good. Not yet. I had a plan. And Emily was about to learn that forgiveness wasn't something I handed out freely. Hours later, when I returned home, the house was silent, except for the faint sound of sniffles coming from our bedroom. She was still crying. Good. I loosened my tie, my mind clear now. I knew exactly what I wanted. I stepped into the room, finding her curled up on our bed, wrapped in the same sheets she had tainted with another man. The moment she saw me, she sat up, hope flickering in her gaze. Ian, I thought you left. I cut her off. Take off your clothes. She stilled. What? I crossed my arms. You heard me. Her hands trembled. Are you serious? I nodded once. Dead serious. She swallowed, eyes searching mine for an answer she wouldn't find. You want me? I let the moment stretch before answering. I want to remind you exactly who you belong to. A sharp inhale. Ian. Take them off. A war raged behind her eyes, but slowly, hesitantly, she obeyed. Piece by piece, she shed the clothing that had once been mine to remove. But this time, it wasn't out of love. It was surrender. And I wasn't sure if I was reclaiming what was mine, or destroying what was left. The room was thick with silence. Not the kind that brought peace, but the kind that pulsed, heavy with tension, raw with something neither of us could name. Emily sat on the edge of the bed, bare, vulnerable, her eyes flickering between guilt and confusion. I stood before her, unmoving, studying the woman I once thought I knew. I should have felt satisfaction. After all, I had forced her into submission, made her remember what it meant to be mine. But as I looked at her, something inside me twisted. She wasn't resisting. She wasn't fighting back. She was surrendering. And that terrified me more than anything. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Is this what you want, Ian?" I clenched my jaw. "I want to make you feel everything I felt." Her gaze held mine, searching for something, remorse maybe, or hatred, but she only nodded. "Then do it." I expected her to cry, to plead, to beg for my mercy. But instead, she lifted her chin, exposing the curve of her neck, the soft dip of her collarbone. An invitation. A challenge. A test. I should have walked away. Should have left her sitting there, lost in her own shame. But I didn't. Instead, I stepped forward, closing the distance between us, my fingers brushing over her skin. She shivered beneath my touch, her breath hitching. She still wanted me. Even after everything. Even after him. The thought ignited something dark inside me. I tilted her chin up, forcing her to look at me. "Tell me," I murmured. "Did you let him touch you like this?" Her breath was shaky. "Ian, please." I gripped her jaw, just enough to keep her still. "Answer me." She swallowed hard, her lashes fluttering. "Not like this. Not like this." A bitter smirk tugged at my lips. "Good." Then I kissed her. Not gently. Not sweetly. It was raw, rough, possessive. A war. She gasped into my mouth, her fingers gripping my arms as if she wasn't sure whether to push me away or pull me closer. But I already knew the answer. She wanted this as much as I did. Maybe more. We crashed into each other like two storms colliding, violent, reckless, unstoppable. She moaned against my lips, her body arching, desperate for something neither of us could name. It should have been a victory. But instead, it felt like a loss. Because no matter how much I took from her, no matter how much she gave, we would never be the same. The morning after, the first rays of dawn bled through the curtains, casting golden streaks across the sheets. Emily stirred beside me, her breathing soft, her body warm against mine. I should have felt triumphant. But all I felt was empty. She turned, eyes fluttering open, filled with something almost hopeful. "Ian," her voice was gentle, hesitant. "Do you still hate me?" I studied her, my fingers brushing against the curve of her hip. Did I? I wasn't sure anymore. Before I could answer, a vibration cut through the silence. My phone. I reached for it, frowning as I saw the name flashing on the screen. Unknown number. A strange chill crept down my spine. I answered. Hello? A low, unfamiliar voice chuckled. Morning, Ian. Hope I'm not interrupting anything. My blood ran cold, because I knew that voice. It was him. The man she had cheated with. Emily stiffened beside me, eyes wide with panic. I tightened my grip on the phone. Who the hell do you think you are? He laughed again, slow and mocking. Relax, man. Just thought we should talk. My stomach twisted. About what? His next words sent ice straight through my veins. About Emily. And the secret she's been keeping from you. A heavy silence filled the room as I gripped the phone tighter. The voice on the other end, his voice, felt like poison dripping into my ears. Emily's body was tense beside me, her breath shallow, her fingers twisting the sheets. Speak, I growled, my patience hanging by a thread. A chuckle echoed through the speaker. Smug. Confident. You think you know everything, don't you? He taunted. That your little revenge last night made things right? I felt Emily flinch, her nails digging into her palms. I ignored the ache in my chest. What do you want? I asked, my voice cold. Silence. Then, his next words made my blood freeze. I'm not the first. The room spun. I turned to Emily, but she wouldn't look at me. My heart pounded in my ears. What the hell are you talking about? He sighed, as if I was an idiot. You're so blind, Ian. I was just another name on her list. She's been doing this for years. A sharp pain stabbed through my ribs, as if he had physically driven a knife into me. Years? My throat tightened. You're lying. Emily finally spoke, her voice small, fragile. Ian. I can explain. I snapped my gaze to her. Explain. I laughed, but it sounded hollow. Explain how I've been a joke this whole time? Tears welled in her eyes, but I had no sympathy left to give. The man on the phone sighed. You deserve to know, buddy. Consider this my gift to you. Then he hung up. I dropped the phone, my hands clenched into fists. Emily reached for me, but I pulled away. Tell me the truth. She swallowed hard. Ian, it wasn't like that. Years. I repeated, my voice dangerously low. Her lip quivered. It wasn't about you. I let out a bitter laugh. Oh, that makes it better? She wiped at her tears. I was lost, Ian. I felt empty, and nothing filled that void. Not even you. The words cut deeper than I expected. I had thought this was one mistake. A betrayal fueled by lust, poor judgment. But this? This was a pattern. A conscious choice. I had been a fool. You could have left me, I said quietly. You didn't have to do this. Her chin trembled. I wanted to stay. I wanted to love you. But something in me, it was broken. She chose to stay. She chose to lie. I turned away, my chest tight. I can't do this anymore. She gasped. No. Ian, please. I grabbed my shirt, pulling it on. You had so many chances to be honest. And you never did. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I'll fix it. I swear. I'll go to therapy. I shook my head. No. You broke this. And I refuse to be a fool any longer. Her breath hitched. You still love me. I clenched my jaw. Did I? Maybe. But love meant nothing without trust. I walked to the door, not looking back. Ian, she screamed, voice raw with desperation. Don't do this. Please. I paused. For a second, I almost believed her. But then I remembered all the lies. Without another word, I stepped out and shut the door behind me. I was done. And this time, I wasn't looking back.